there are those who say the United States is an empire, a dictatorship possessing fascistic elements. There are others who insist it's a democracy or a representative republic, the realized dream of the Founding Fathers. Can both assessments be correct? How can the nation known as the United States of America be both? How can there be two totally different views of the same thing?
When Mussolini described fascism as a union of the state and corporate power, I think he was right. Now, it's true that you can have a union of the state and corporate power and not have something as extreme as fascism. In fact, that's what we've had in the United States. We've had a union of the government and corporate power ever since the beginning of this country. There's an element of fascism in that. Fascism is not a, well, yes or no proposition. It's very complicated. You can have a society which is partly democratic and partly fascist. I mean, you have a society in the United States where people vote and you have a choice, sort of a choice, not much of a choice between two parties. You have a certain degree of civil liberties, and you can put out underground newspapers, or dissident newspapers, community radio stations. Yes, that's not fascism, you see. No. But, of course, there are limits to those liberties.
Now, fascism, to describe the United States of America, that seems a little extreme, I think, for the majority of the public. How do you see it turning fascistic?
Well, it's absolutely accurate, number one. I mean, throughout the 20s and 30s, when fascism was in vogue before the horrors of World War II, the terms fascism and corporatism were used interchangeably. It represented the merger of the state and corporate power, and that was openly discussed. Mussolini said.
I think that the Bush administration is following the designs of its family over several generations in perpetrating a corporate state to the max and trying to basically institute a global empire. It's an exact factual line in terms of the Bush family's support of fascistic philosophy or government, going back at least to George W. Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, who was one of the main financiers of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party through the Union Banking Corporation. He was a Republican, his partner a Democrat, W. Abel Harriman, and he both funded and employed slave labor at Auschwitz even after the United States had entered the war after Pearl Harbor. They didn't decease from that. Prescott Bush and Abel Harriman until they were forced to by the Trading with the Enemy Act in 1942.
Prescott Bush was a major supporter of the Nazi regime through Brown Brothers Harriman, representing Standard Oil, DuPont, major American investment houses, funneling money to IG Farben, the Hamburg Steamship Line, Thyssen Steel Trust.
I mean, the comparison between Bush and Hitler. Like all comparisons, it's not saying that these two are identical, but it's actually useful to see similarities between one situation and another, between one person and another. It's educational. And after all, the United States compares Saddam Hussein to Hitler. And that's worth comparing too. It's worth, I mean, that's what freedom of speech is. It's worth bringing up anything for people to think about. When they think about it, they can accept it, reject it, accept part of it, reject another part of it.
Well, let's compare. George Bush was born to a rich, powerful family. Adolf Hitler was born to a poor family. George Bush went to Yale, one of the finest universities in the United States, while Hitler was denied admittance to the Academy of Fine Arts. His father didn't have connections. Whereas George Bush went AWOL for a year during his short tour with the National Guard, Hitler served his country in World War I. They are very different men. Still, images pop up all over the internet, throughout anti-war protests and all over the world, making this very comparison. So let's take a look at the man who proved to be one of the most notorious leaders of all time. Here is a glimpse at his first 3 years in office. Although not elected by a majority vote, and despite the fact that many citizens disputed his legitimacy as leader, this man soon became a champion of his people. Many also considered him a simpleton. He clearly showed his political roots from a southernmost state, and an arrogance that infuriated foreign leaders as well as many of his own citizens. In the midst of economic troubles and faltering faith, a terrible thing happened. When an aide brought him word of the event, he proclaimed it as a terrorist act and a sign from God. He used it to justify an all-out war on terrorism. These terrorists, he said, traced their origins to the Middle East and found motivation for their evil deeds in their religion. He then passed legislation in the name of combating terrorism and fighting the philosophy he said spawned it. That legislation suspended constitutional rights of free speech, privacy, and habeas corpus. Police could now intercept mail and wiretap phones. Suspected terrorists could be imprisoned without specific charges and without access to lawyers. Police could sneak into people's homes without warrants. He stirred national pride among his countrymen by referring to their nation as the homeland. In a national outburst of patriotism, the flag was everywhere. After the first war came another, which was also connected with the terrorist act. He said these words to his frightened people after that infamous terrorist attack. He used that speech to introduce his creation of the Gestapo, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Your enemy is not surrounding your country, your enemy is ruling your country. And the day he and his regime are removed from power will be the day of your liberation.